Yeah.
Here's the thing I learned watching documentaries on the Medellin cartel. If you drive a rented car, you're not responsible for what's in the trunk because it's a rented car.
Wrong.
Or
Wrong.
no, excuse me, I got it wrong. Towing the vehicle, if you were towing the car. But if you actually are driving it, you should know what's in the truck. But if you're a tow truck company, so that's how they got around all that smuggling.
Even the tow truck drivers are now held responsible to know what the contents of the vehicle. Now
Has that come since the 80s, though?
or scanning or X-raying it. No, but you should know when you tow a vehicle. And I used to run a tow truck part time. You should pop it. You should be able to have it if the individual's on site. Pop the trunk, clear it, open the doors, clear it, put the thing up on the lift and pull. If they won't give you permission, I never towed the car. I don't care what you have in here. I'm just not going to pull it if it's loaded down with weapons and drugs. That's just all there is to it.
Yeah, because
You
they
can
were
sit on the
saying
side
that's
of the
how
road.
they got
That's your
around it
problem.
in the 80s. So I guess the laws changed since then.
A lot has changed since then. Border Patrol has gotten a lot tighter. They're understaffed, but
Right.
the laws have gotten a lot tighter.
So do you feel that's the number one reason why a lot of this stuff's going on now is because all these agencies are understaffed?
Everything changed since COVID. You got to remember, Department of Transportation, FMCSA, they had a handle on things. You had face-to-face audits. You had face-to-face interviews. These were commonalities. An auditor in your first 6 months would show up at the location where your business was supposed to be at for a trucking company. I'm not sure about the brokerage because I never ran a brokerage, but they would show up at your place of business and make sure that you are at that location and go through your records.
And all that type of shit. They
There
would
it
check
is.
all that stuff.
They would check all of it. Nowadays, everything is computerized. Your audits are computerized. Everything is through the computer, so they have no eyes on anything. They cut the budget and cut all those job positions out. So unless it's so severe that they have to have an auditor go to your location, they don't really care.
So you're saying really inside of 6 years, the industries went down the toilet.
Oh yeah, enforcement's gone to crap. The laws and regulations are overreaching and overbearing. You have too much power in Washington D.C. and not enough people that are caring enough to stand up and take it back.
Do you think it can be fixed and turned around?
That's up to the people.
Last
I
I
put all my
heard,
hope and faith in the people that people will start standing. And this is, again, we're going to go back to what we were talking about earlier about the e-log versus paper log. It's about choice. And unless you're willing for the rest of your life to give up choice on anything, it doesn't matter what it is. This is just an example of choice. But unless you're willing to give up choice, you better start standing 10 toes on the line and standing up for, what being an American's really about. And it comes down to choice. Or you choose to continue tucking your head and avoiding the problems and not standing up to it. And what you're going to have is authoritarian gets so bad and so overruled that we're in a position now where we are micromanaged to the second. Trucking should never have been micromanaged to this point, ever. Now, tracking should absolutely be a thing, but they want you to have 8,000 tracking apps on your phone. There are companies nationwide right now that run a tracker in the load, that when they load it, there's a tracker on it. There's no reason for a truck driver to have to be on a tracking app. No reason at all.
Yeah, I mean, you brought up an interesting point. Why are the companies, your trucking company or broker, tracking you when they already have the Qualcomm?
It's micromanagement.
But I mean, is that
They
the
wanna
company
know where
saying
every
we'll do
truck-
whatever
they
you want?
Well, if you look at a broker side, and you got to look at a slightly positive side of this. If a broker has 10,000 truck drivers that brokerage works with, and he has tracking on them, at any given time, he could call one of those individuals and say, hey, listen, I see that you're in, like me right now, Jacksonville, Florida. I have 2 loads there. I really need to get moved. Do you have anything available to be able to help me? Well, no, I don't. So there's a slight advantage there for both the broker and the truck driver. There's a slight advantage. The other disadvantage is every truck driver is pinpointed on a map 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah, I
As
mean,
long as
the
you're
Home
under that
Depot
tracking app.
store will tell me when I get there, oh, we saw you around the corner 5 minutes ago, because we were tracking you through your company's, GPS that they let us hack into. They can actually see
and
my
that's the
emails.
thing.
They can see
And
my
that's
hours.
the thing. They can see everything.
Yeah, so is
If
that an
you're
invasion
running-
of privacy or what?
No, and not according to the U.S. It's not according to the U.S. Senate and our government. They say it's not, because that's not your property. That's their property. You're
Yeah,
for
kind of like
hire.
California said, these driver-facing cameras are not an invasion of privacy, right?
Well, actually, that is a toss-up. I could fight that through FMCSA, CFR regulations. That anything from the curtain back, that's my bedroom.
Correct.
That means you don't have a camera on. But they say that once you're parked and pull the brake, the camera goes off. I don't buy that.
It's
I
not
don't
true.
buy that any camera goes off.
Yeah, because while you're sleeping, and if you get hit hard enough and enough G-force to shake that truck, it will record somebody hitting you. So that means it's not off when it's
Half
parked.
the truckers out here sleep in the nude. And do you really want to get, if somebody hits your truck and you jump out of bed, do you really want that on camera?
Especially a
Do you
woman.
do you want your company to have access to that? That shouldn't even be a thing.
Exactly.
The reason that the driver-facing cameras have become a thing, this is where we got to go back again and go back and look at the reasoning. The reasoning is lack of education, lack of time on the road, lack of experience. They have minimized education in the trucking,
Their excuse
the
is the
training
nuclear
side
verdict. Are you
so
buying
much. They have minimized it so much that you're through a revolving door in under 5 days. Now I know some of them have gotten rid of that, but it's still that revolving door is moving too fast. When you have countries like France and Spain and others that have taken CDL truck driving so seriously that you're in a 6 to 12 month training program before you're even allowed to be on the road by yourself, we should be following the example.
Are you serious? I've never read that before.
6 to 12 months. And they teach everything from mechanical to the driving portion to safe to defensive, offensive driving, you name it. They have an entire course curriculum for 6 to 12 months.
So it's classroom driving training.
It's everything.
Wow, did not know that. I'm going to Google that.
I don't
Their
know
trainings-
if they do it or not. I haven't heard of it either. And I've been saying it here for 20 years. We need to be getting our drivers right out of high school, not 21. They're off doing other things at that point. We need to.
And this is something I heard an idea. I don't know if it was you guys talking about this or if it was another. I know that Mike and I had discussed it. I think Sam and I discussed it. They need to set up it's going to.
Wait a minute, this is Sam right here? I thought Sam
That's-
had hair. I looked on his profile earlier.
I think he got a haircut not too long
Okay.
ago. But what they need to do is they need to set up 5 locations: Northeast, Southeast, Midwest, Northwest, Southwest. 5 schools, set it up. And I almost want to say it was you, Rocky, that was talking about this. But you set up, you got abandoned factories everywhere. You've got abandoned buildings and warehouses everywhere. Set it up like a college. Put them on premises. All
Like
you're
a tech
doing-
school.
Exactly, like a tech school. Put them on premises. This is what you're going to do. Okay, well, you're going to go to this school, whichever one's closest to you. You're going to spend a year there, and you're going to go through their courses. You're going to go through the training. You're going to go through the mechanical operations of the truck. You're going to know so much about that truck by the time you get out that you'll feel comfortable. You'll be safe. You'll know how to drive both offensively and defensively. You'll know the rules of the road. You'll know what truck driving is really all about. You'll know how to take care of yourself out here. You need those programs. Right now, you walk into a school, it's, oh, well, you know what? We're going to teach you on an automatic and, okay, pull up, back up, pull up, back up. Okay, 5 hours of classroom training. Oh, we're going to pass you. Bullshit. That is such nonsense.
Yeah.
You need to create you need to create a better schooling system, and you set it up with 5 locations, no more than 5. Set it up like a tech school, college setup. Send them there and say, okay, 1 year from today, you'll be ready to go. By the time they're 19, let them out. If they pass everything, let them go.
Yeah.
You won't need the onboard. You won't need the in-cab cameras anymore. You won't need, 90% of the stuff that's being instituted, you won't need anymore.
Yeah, but aren't the cameras for these nuclear verdicts?
Well, insurance, and as a carrier yourself, I wouldn't have a truck on the road without at least a forward-facing.
Exactly.
Right.
Forward-facing, yes. I would have, and listen, I'm going to be very blunt. As an owner-op, I'm already looking at a 4 camera system. 1 on each of my freaking side mirrors, facing back, my forward-facing, and I'm going to put 1 on the rear of my trailer.
Yeah.
4 cameras.
So you own your own trailer.
That covers everything. I pull the same trailer. I never switch.
Okay, cool.
So
well, you can have a camera backup system on that.
I will literally have 4 cameras that have full access to everything that happens around my truck. If I cross a median, my dash cam's going to catch it. My driver's side is going to driver's side cam is going to catch it. That's when they've got me. Oh, you cross the center line, you hit that vehicle. Absolutely. I can't prove it otherwise. Do I need to
make your insurance go down?
Beep and automatic braking and all that? No, I don't need all that shit. The cameras protect me.
Yeah, but aren't ABS brakes like a requirement?
Well, ABS is on every vehicle since
ABS, yeah. What was that, 90s?
I'm trying to remember the year, but yeah, 90s.
It was 90s when they instituted it, and it became
I watched
law.
a video from
became law like 2002.
And they have trucks that will stop on a dime from 30 to 0 if they sense anything in front. They just automatically brake. They've been testing them.
Well, and okay, now that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the brake sensors. Right. These brake sensors are actually far more dangerous than anybody has looked into. You're
talking about the Wabtec Meritor?
Yeah, you're talking northwest, northeast, Midwest in the north, anywhere that you got snow, ice, sleet. Those automatic braking systems with the 4-wheelers, the way they act, if a 4-wheeler cuts in front and that automatic braking system, that sensor kicks off that you're following too close, you just lost total control of your truck. Total. That truck is locking down. I drove one of these things. It was the worst idea I've ever seen in my life.
I got you.
I was literally just on rain-slick roads, and a 4-wheeler literally come right over from 3 lanes, cut in front of me to get off on the off-ramp, and my truck locked up. I'm watching my trailer come around sideways, and I couldn't get fast enough on the gas. Even when I laid on the gas, that braking system would not allow me to pick up speed to get ahead of that trailer. I had to reach up and grab the frickin' handbrake and hope to God she came back around, and she did, thankfully. But locked the truck right up. It's the worst idea to put on.
So
That's the only
why do you
reason.
think they keep doing it?
No. Safety, they say safety, but it's bad for you, the driver, in inclement conditions. But if you are on good roads and somebody does something or driver's not paying attention, um, it keep them from piling into a pile of people. But yeah, I'm kind of on the fence with that. I think the technology needs to get a little better so it doesn't react when somebody is, just moved over in front of you and slowed down a little bit. And
Well, Rocky, and that's the thing that, and everybody needs to and I try to emphasize anytime we talk safety. When you're talking safety, you're talking the road, the open highway. There's
Right.
nothing safe about the open highway. I don't care what you institute. There is nothing going to be safe about the
No.
open road. I don't care if you're driving a motorcycle, a car, an 18-wheeler. I don't care what you drive. The instant you start an engine and go faster than 1 mile an hour, you already should have in the back of your mind, there's a chance I'm not coming home, because that's just how unsafe it will always be. There's no such thing as safety on the highway. Safety is a moneymaker when it comes to the road. That's all it is. They say safety. We hear safety, but they see dollar signs.
Yeah,
That's all
and
it
the
is.
improvements in vehicles, the way they're being built with crumple zones and all that, has saved a ton of lives in passenger vehicles.
Well,
Right.
and
I mean,
yes, but technology should have also been smart enough to realize, and this is just me, and maybe it's just me. They should have kept the steel frame, aluminum body a long time. The old 60s, 70s, 80s, early 90s makes, and added the airbags and a lot the safety features you got now. With the heavier vehicle, you wouldn't have the death rate that you do now. But no, they had to get rid of all of that and go to plastics and aluminum. Anybody ever freaking crush an aluminum can and see how easy that is? I mean, that's what your car's made out of.
yeah,
That's
they
the
crush.
frame of your vehicle.
But if you look at them and some of the accidents that I see, and one of them that my son was in, if the front of the car had not crumpled like it did and the engine go up under the car, right, and he was in a steel frame, one of the older cars where it stayed stiff and rigid, he probably wouldn't be here today. If it hadn't have been for that crumple zone and that engine going up under like it did, and the subframe and everything dropping down, going under the car instead of coming through the firewall.
Well, and I'll give you that. But what would the percentage be? I mean, and that's where you kind of you got to flip the quarter. What would the percentage be higher with the old steel frame vehicles with all the safety features we got now? Or is it going to be, because most of it is what they utilize. Most of the aluminum frames and the fiberglass junk, and more is for fuel economy than it is for safety.
Yeah, it makes them lighter. I mean, there's a lot of
Right.
advantages to it. It makes them lighter, more fuel efficient, and having those crumple zones, even on the backs of cars. Because I rear-ended a BMW back in, I want to say 2010. Might have been 2009, 2010. I rear-ended with a 1-ton Dodge Ram with a 22-foot trailer, enclosed trailer behind it. Wasn't in the truck that week and was out with my guys, and I was driving, and we were in Jacks Beach and up on 3rd Street, and some fool ran out across the damn median behind the palm tree across the damn road, and the BMW in front of us just slammed on the damn brakes. Well, they stopped a lot faster than I could. And it put the front of that Ram, and it literally put the front bumper up to the back windows. The whole rear end of the car crumpled. And it was a young teenage girl, maybe 19 years old, driving mama's car. And luckily that thing was built where it did crumple and all for her too, but it destroys the car. I mean, it basically totals the vehicle. when that happens, there's really not much fixing
Right.
a lot of that. But so I know with the one that my son was in about 2 years ago, if it hadn't have been for the front end of that car crumpling, if he was in like one of the damn cars I had when I was 15, 16 years old, was an old Lincoln, right? And that thing weighed damn 7,000-8,000 freaking pounds, and it was a damn land yacht, right? I had it built up.
hauling those things. Those things were whew.
Yeah, at the old 76 Lincoln Continental. And dude, I remember, man, you hit somebody with that damn car, if they were in a small vehicle or something, they were done. Them things were just so big, so heavy. But yeah, these cars, I mean, they're all throwaway stuff anymore. And they have a lot of safety features on them now with the blind spot monitor things. I do like that on the big trucks. The big trucks that have the sensor on, like on the passenger side. Sometimes there's little cars where you can't see them down there. They're just in that spot where you throw that blinker on and it does a little beep beep, and you kind of take a second look. Even in my new pickup, I like that.
I just can't stand the frickin' beep beep beep. It just drives me up a frickin' wall.
Yeah. And in my new pickup, I shut the beeping off, but it does vibrate the steering wheel and the light flashes on that mirror now. But I was able to shut off the beeping tone thing. But yeah, it's some of the safety features are for the people in the car, not necessarily the people on the outside, and everything. But the big truck safety stuff, I think some of the things that they're doing with some of it is good, and then there's problems with other parts of it. But if you look at, you were talking about the drivers earlier and the companies, and I see this because I have a lot of friends that are in multiple different businesses. I got friends of ours that have a place down here, World Golf Village, St. Augustine. They build and ship airplane parts and stuff, right? They deal with the same type of stuff that we deal with in trucking, with employees, with people that work for them, driving their vehicles, delivering this stuff up to the airports and whatever, all this hardware and parts and stuff that they need. And I got a couple of buddies of mine that are still in the restaurant business, and they can't get servers. My oldest daughter works in one, and she's like, no, we can't. The people that we're getting are just there just to basically do the job, but they suck at it. But they have to have somebody to do it. And same thing with trucking with these bigger fleets. I think they need to do a better job, and I think we need to drop the age requirement down to 18. Why can I move to Texas, get my CDL at 18 years old, and I can drive 900 miles one way and 900 the other, and this and that all over the damn state, but I can't cross that imaginary line?
Well, and that's the problem. If you've got the proper training and your ability to do it, do it. We all did it. I mean, I did it. I was in a truck at 14 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, it was, I'm a generational guy, but, I was taught a whole lot more stricter than any of these schools were taught. But it's still that, why can't they do the job?
Right.
The only reason that they're not doing the job, well, one, people in the U.S. believe that, they're owed and they're due, and, gosh forbid, you actually got to work for a living.
Yeah. And I don't know where this started. I don't know if it started with the parents, because my kids are not like that. My kids work.
Well, all my kids actually work. I told them a long time ago, you're not working, you're not getting anything big, special. You'll get what you need to get through life, but there's nothing big. I won't go and buy you a car. I'm not buying you a car. Come up with half.
Yeah.
You come up with half, you show me that you earned it.
That's what I did with my kids. That's why one of them, she didn't get a car until she had bought her own, because she didn't want to participate in that. So, well, you're not driving this.
Exactly. I've got a teenage daughter right now that's throwing a fit because she's got to make half a car payment. And it's like, you can quit paying it. I don't have a problem with parking that thing. It goes in the garage. I don't have a problem.
Right. Yeah.
You're going to understand the way I grew up. I'm not a pushover. I'm not, you're not getting away with anything with me. That's just all there is to it. Every other kid, and I hear that all the time. Well, my friends didn't have to do that. My friends got new cars. Their parents are paying for it with no rules. That's their parents. I don't know
Right.
what's wrong with them.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't either. It's,
My
you know,
kid
and I've
deserves,
got a,
and we got parents that I don't want my kids to go through the hardships that I did. You know what? I want my kids to have my work ethic. The only way they're going to have that is through the hardships that I went through.
right. Yeah. Yeah, and that's
Thank
my
you.
oldest daughter. She's like, well, you know, I told her, I said, hey, take a weekend off and go, you know, go do something, whatever I can. I got to work, you know, and all. And, you know, some of the stuff that she does, my wife will be like, Becca, take a break. Take a break. She's like, I can't. Why can't? Why can't you? Because of Dad. It's because of him. I can't stop working, you know. It's because of Dad. You know, I'm like, don't blame me for it. I just taught you. You can take a break. You know, me and Mom take a break and whatever, and take a little vacation or a day or two off. Hell, there's times where I'll take a day and, you know, just do a few things here around the house and spend the rest of the day out here cooking. You know, not doing any damn work or whatever, you know. But you know, she always tells my wife, it's Dad's fault that I'm like this. So, yeah. But hell, I got my neighbor kids over here. One of them, he's just a couple of months younger than my oldest son. So he's got to be getting close to 22 years old. Still lives at home, Mom and Dad. You never see him outside. He's only been out and mowed the grass a handful of times, even when he was a younger teenager. 4 or 5 times. I count him on one hand. And doesn't want to drive. Hasn't not even had his learner's permit yet. And does not want to drive. And has this girlfriend that comes over. She's like his Uber, I guess. Takes him everywhere. When he was working for a couple of months, he went and got a job because Mom and Dad quit giving him money to do stuff, and he wanted a new Xbox game or something. And they said, "No, we're not getting it. Go get your ass a job. You know, your ass needs to go to work." And you know, I mean, they deal with it. They let him stay there, but they don't do nothing for him.
Get what he wanted. Got a job long enough to get what he wanted, and then quit his job.
Yep. Quit his job and does nothing. And you know, and it's like, man, and the dad, he's like, I don't know what the hell to do. He's like, I don't know where the hell he gets this from. I don't know if it was his friends or what, but he just does not want to get off his ass and do anything.
Go walk into any school and listen to the way these kids are taught.
Yeah.
They're not taught a hard work anymore. Work ethic is not a thing.
Right. Not a thing. They don't know what it is.
I have heard more than a few times kids look at me, and I'm 52, look at me and go, work smarter, not harder. I'm working both. I don't know where who's teaching you this garbage, but you better get your head wrapped around, or I'm telling you, you're all going to be in homeless camps for the rest of your life.
Yeah. And my younger son, he's 18. He's finishing up high school this year. He'll be out here in first, second week of May, I guess. But when he gets done with high school, he's already set up going to the utility companies. He wants to be a lineman, and he's been wanting to do it for a while. Yeah, and you know, so he's already got his stuff set up so that when he's done, he's already had one interview and got all of his stuff in and together for them to, as soon as he gets done with high school, he's going up here to the power company.
As long as he keeps his financial head on his shoulders instead of going ape crap with that lineman money, he'll be set up by 30.
Yeah.
By 30, he won't owe a dime. He'll own everything he's got.
Yeah, he's he's got his head on straight, always has. He's been a good kid. And and he comes out and does this stuff with me, all the time. We'll go out, rebuild the rear end of a truck or front end, whatever, all the steering stuff and everything. He knows how to do it. I could let him loose, and let him go go align a truck and let him go. He says, well, if you set up another van or get me the stuff for my pickup where I can maybe just go do alignments or something on weekends while I'm doing this with JEA, or FPL, whichever one he goes with. And, so I can go align some trucks or something and make a few extra dollars on the weekends. And I said, hell, if it's on the weekends, you want to work, just come get the van.
My 14-year-old just came to me last week, sat me down and said, I've got a plan for the summer. I said, okay, let's hear it. He said, I want to do lawns. I said, okay. I said, well, we got the mower right outside. He said, no, I want to do it right. He said, I'll need a weed eater and a small push mower and a small blower. And I said, okay. He said, would you loan me the money to get the things that I need before the end of May? And then as I'm making money, I'll pay it back. And I said, if you're hell bent on it, yeah, absolutely. If you're going to do it the right way, I am good with it.
Yeah.
I said, but here's the problem. I said, last year we asked you to mow the lawn. I said, you did it 6 times in the whole summer.
Right.
I said, your friends became more important. I said, you're going to have to, if I do this, you're going to have to stick to your guns. If you got lawns to do, you do your lawns before you go hang out with your buddies. He says, no, I know. He says, I've been watching you and how much, how hard you work. He says, I know what it's going to take. Okay. But he's 14. And it's like, or actually 13. But it's like, okay, where your sister's older than you are and she can't figure this out.
Yeah. I don't know where we went wrong in society with this younger generation, man. Every shop that I go to in town, they have almost all of them. Well, one other shop just shut down here a couple of weeks ago. But they hadn't had anybody running their alignment rack, and it's been a long time. So they've been calling me to do their stuff, and all these guys, the dealer also, Tom Neal here in Jacksonville, I do theirs, and they're like, dude, we got tired of hiring people, and in 2 weeks they quit because it was too hard for them. They come in, they think they want to do this, and they had one that was doing that, and then he wanted to go back to the oil change bay. They sent him over to Hunter's class here for a day. Basically, all they teach them is how to turn the damn computer on and mount the heads. In the day, don't teach them nothing else. And then, these guys, they want to go do it. And hell, we've had guys come do the MD alignment stuff, bought equipment. One of the guys was down in Brooksville, Florida. I did one of his trucks several years ago. Martine did one over there, and the one I did wasn't super hard, but it was easy for me, right? Well, this guy was wanting to get out of the truck. He had 2 trucks, was broke, and wanted to do something else. So he bought the lasers, never went to Iowa and got any training, just had it shipped to him. Came to work up here with me one day, and then he went to Martine in Ocala 2 days and said, oh, I got it. And he went and did 1 truck. And then he actually bought my old trailer that I had sat for about a year after I'd bought the van. And he bought my trailer. He went and did 1 truck, this old Peterbilt, that whooped his ass because nothing wanted to move. Right. And he didn't have the right tools and everything to do it. And that was it. He was done. Now this guy is buying cars on Marketplace and stuff and flipping cars. He lost his trucks when he was in an area down there that he could have been making a killing if he just would have worked a little bit. Doing what we do, yeah, we can make it look easy. But there are some trucks that really are a bitch that I want to give up on sometimes, Right, when you're working with a Rust Belt truck or something, it's like, man, I'm done with this damn thing and I got to walk away for a minute, But he did 1 truck on his own. So, and then he was trying to sell the lasers out there as like an alignment shop. And I saw him one day and I was like, hey, you're selling those lasers? Yeah. And he says, I want to sell the trailer and he had some Harbor Freight, little cordless impacts and all, and he told me what he was wanting for it. And I said, well, I don't want everything. I won't buy all that, but I'll buy the lasers. And the biggest reason I bought them, not that I needed them, but what we wanted to try to prevent was somebody getting out there and ruining the MD Alignment name by not knowing what the hell they're doing. Bought these lasers and are just going to try to figure it out. Right. And then ruin our name. So I'm like, dude, I'll give you the $8,500 for them. Well, I got paid 95, and I was like, hey, take 1,000 loss. You're not going to get what they were new. You know, I said, realistically, they're worth about 5 to me, but, you know.
Once anything comes off the showroom floor, value goes down. They use them,
right.
And it goes down even more.
Yeah, so I ended up giving him $9,000 for him, and then he had called up one day. He says, how did you build up and get so busy in Jacksonville? I said, work. I said, it didn't come all that in one day, brother. I said, I've been working on this for years. This is years of building and going out and knocking on doors and going to shops and saying, hey, here's what we do. You know, hey, I'll tell you what I'll do. If you got a couple of trucks in here that need to be done, I'll do 3 trucks for free. If those customers are happy, then we'll charge you our regular rate. But you call me when you got a truck.
You built your platform, and that's the deal. Is most people don't understand what it takes to be successful in the building.
Yeah,
it
right.
Could take you 5 years. It could take you, if you're really good at what you do. Good luck. You get away with 1 to 5 years. Some it takes 10, 15, 20 years to make sure you got every proper. That to, company.
Right. You know, and there's a lot of guys start out doing this. There's one up in Knoxville, super good.
Is
that mine fading out or his?
To make it. It's his. The Senate just voted down to approve the Iran war. And Lou Holtz just passed. R.I.P. Lou.
Get ready for the riots.
Yeah. But no, we had a guy in Knoxville that was trying to build up his business while he was out on the road. And, it was hard to do because he would try to take appointments. Hey, I'll be in town March 22nd and 23rd if you're going to be there. Well, the problem with that is most drivers, you don't know if you're going to be there this week or not. Right? I mean, it's hard to tell. A lot of stuff happens. Loads canceled, get changed. You end up in Pennsylvania when you think you're going to be in Tennessee and this and that. So he finally did come out of the truck and started building up his business. And he, at first, was doing everything for just one outfit. And then there was some problem with that outfit, and then they weren't calling him anymore. And so he's like, hey, what's going on? Oh, right now we're just cutting expenses, just letting everything go and whatever. So he had all his eggs in one basket, didn't have enough money, and didn't have all the tools he needed at the time, but had, enough to get by. And also he was doing okay. And then he went back out on the road for a while, and then he went back out. And I was fortunate enough that when I started doing it, I had the cash to, do whatever. And everything and all my tools, everything were paid for. And I've got everything we could possibly need. The bushing presses and the jacks and the jack stands and all the stuff for kingpins and, everything. So, but I was fortunate enough, to be able to just go buy it all today and not have to build it up. So when I went out and started doing it, man, I just hit the road and started doing it and was dealing with the trucks on the road and all that. And then I gave the last truck over to the guys there at Blue Ribbon at Landstar. I was like, Larry, I got one sitting there. If you got a driver for it, come get it and put the driver in it. I don't know if I want to sell it yet or not. So we did that. They run it for a few years, and then I ended up just selling the damn thing. Got tired of dealing with all the truck drivers, typical driver BS. But it's work to build any business, a trucking business, a damn restaurant. If you try to open a shoe store, man,
Yeah, you're going to be a success. You got to have the determination and the drive to actually see it all the way through. Yeah,
Right. Business is hard.
One hiccup, you can't just make.
Right.
I
Right.
mean, hiccups are going to, mountains can turn into molehills. You just keep moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah. Business is hard. Guys think it's just easy, especially the trucking industry. They think, oh man, I'm just going to buy the truck. I know how to drive it. Well, if you don't know the business side of it, there's a real good chance you're going to fail, and,
That's the truth of it.
because, when you buy the truck, you're a business owner now. You're not just the truck driver. You're the guy in charge of the truck.
And that's 90% of the problem is they don't understand any of the business aspects of it. They know how to drive it. They know how to get a load on and get a load off. They know how to tarp it down. They know how to strap it. But that's the extent of their knowledge.
Yep.
The IFTAs, the RFPs, registrations, the amount of taxes that you got to pay out, the preparation and how you got to set your accounts up. All of that plays a massive role in whether you succeed or fail.
Yep. And I used to tell guys, it's like, hey, when you start getting that big check, remember this. Every week, you need to have an account, and you need to take your gross money, whatever you did that week, and at least 9% of it needs to go into your tax savings account. And that's only for taxes. You don't touch that for nothing. I don't care if the kids are hungry. You leave that alone. You don't touch it.
You should have a tax account. You should have a maintenance repair account. If you're smart, you should have some kind of IRA or retirement going. And there are, and that's just smart, because if you do it the right way, that's less taxes at the end of the year. There's 1,000 ways to do it the right way to be prepared. But they see the big money and they immediately go, okay, increase in lifestyle. Not really. Actually, when you're at the end of the year, you're going to see the truth of it. And the truth of it is, being an owner-operator is usually a decrease in lifestyle.
Right. You know what I drove for my first 10 years? You know what I drove my first 10 years? What I drove? My wife drove, we bought it. It was about a 5-6-year-old Explorer that she drove. And I drove about a 12-year-old Dodge Dakota extended cab pickup truck. I did not need even back then, I did not need a $50,000 truck sitting in a yard while I'm out on the road for me to come in, park the truck, and drive 25 miles to the house.
Well, and that's the thing. Right now, I've got a 2016, and that's actually the newest vehicle I've ever owned. The one prior to that was a 96, and I ran it. I mean, anytime I was home,
I got everybody beat.
Job.
I got a vehicle. I got 2 vehicles when I got my CDL, and I said I'm gonna keep them till I retire CDL, and I just keep them in showroom condition. Change the oil, wash, wax, turtle wax, everything clean. I've taken them to any show car event I go to that comes around, and I just decided that, and all the drivers I know that started with me or before me, they've had like 15 or 20 vehicles, and I'm like, you know how much money you spent?
Oh, we won't even talk about spending money on vehicles.
Sam.
Yeah, so
I probably spent more on my hood than you did your.
Sam's face just put Rudolph to shame. He got so freaking red when you said that is a Sam thing right there.
I understand people have motorcycles. They want to restore.
Yeah, I got one of those too.
Yeah.
I think I got more money wrapped up in my daily driver than I do the other 2 combined.
I mean, I have met a lot of drivers out here that they said they wrench, and they'll drive, they'll wrench, they'll drive, they'll wrench, and I understand their love of vehicles, but I'm like, you gotta do it within your budget.
Right. And if your budget is a $25,000 car, you go buy a $25,000 car, not a $70,000 car.
Well, the thing I've never really understood about these dudes is that they say rent, they can fix a vehicle. Well, buy something in your price range, fix it up nice, do this, work on it a little bit, and do your own maintenance. And that's where the conversation stops. They want to buy all this brand new lease payment, more than they can afford. And I'm just like, man, if you have all that knowledge and these tools and these buddies and let you work in the garages, do that, fix it up, do all your own work on your own time, whatever.
See, I don't do a lot of that anymore, and there's a reason that I don't. All right, my time is more valuable to me, and I can go make more money in this 3 or 4 hours than what repairing me working on this vehicle myself. Now, a lot of stuff we still do ourselves, just like with my son's pickup he drives. Last weekend, we tore the front end down and replaced the front springs in it, the coil springs and stuff in it. We did that, and that was me and him did it, and that was more for him to learn to do this, right? So otherwise, like when the rack and pinion went out on it, one afternoon, I was like, just take it over there. If they can do it today, get it done. Because what was I going to do? I was going to, tell all my customers, hey, I got to go take this and, see y'all next week or something. I can do that.
I mean, I understand that, but like when you're a younger man, 20s, 30s, early, mid 40s, do all that. But, you up around 50, 60, I get, nobody wants to do it, but, fix up a nice vehicle and then just maintain it. And then guys are like, well, I want to get another bike, I want to get that. And I'm like, I understand, but, if you have all this knowledge and this time on your hands when you're younger, and part it out at the, go to the junkyard, get the parts or whatever, order them. I mean, I drove with a dude one time and he said that he still gets Christmas cards from like junkyards and parts all over the country and from California, because he bought so many parts from them.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's like my boys. They'll both do a lot of their own stuff, but they grew up doing it, with me and them, me teaching them and working on stuff and whatever. I mean, hell, I got an 18.5-foot long toolbox here in the garage that is slam packed full of tools for automotive and whatever. A little bit of the big truck stuff that I don't carry all the time with me, but even my oldest son, he'll come over here on a weekend. Hey, can I use the garage to do this on the car or put brakes on and do this and that? And, yeah, come on. So
I've done commando coffee hour with dudes that claim they were owner ops their own authority, and they're like, their home time was spent just maintenance in the truck. Like one dude told me one time he had 55-gallon drums of some sort of special grease that was like $1,800. This years ago, it's probably way more expensive if he was even telling the truth about it. But he's like, yeah, man, I'll just Saturday afternoon just work on my truck for several hours, get it ready to go, maintenance it, take a couple days off, and then come back on the road. And I just don't hear that much anymore. I just don't hear guys anymore. They're like, well, I got a mechanic down the road. And I'm like, okay, I understand that. I understand guys don't want to work on the truck. But with the price of the stuff nowadays.
Yeah, in some shops, labor rates are really high. And I understand why they're high. Most guys complain. But just like ABS up here, the owner of the building and the property sold it. That had owned it for years. They were paying $8,500 a month for this place. These people that they sold it to, these people bought it and raised the rent to $30,000 a month, right, for a 4-bay shop. So that by the time you add your utilities and your insurance and all that to it, your cost to stay open is just ridiculous. And that's one reason I haven't gone to a shop. Some of the cheapest ones I've found, a little 2-bay shop, they want $19,500 a month for it. And I'm like, $19,500 a month? Holy shit, I got to turn $20,000 in revenue before I can even open the fucking door. And I'm just not going to work that hard.
So, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, I'm just not going to work that damn hard.
Your parts, you're talking your overhead. So, I mean, you got to ask yourself the question, are a lot of these businesses going out of business due to lack of business or because of rent or cost?
Well, I mean,
and nobody really tells the truth in the paper. They just say, okay, or the internet, well, we just decided that it was best, so you kind of got to look at it from that perspective.
Yeah. And then with employees, if you're paying a guy in the shop $35 an hour,
Or more.
40 bucks an hour or more, he's not just costing you that 40, he's costing you about another 16, 17% on top of that, is what his hourly wage is costing you with his workman's comp and everything else you got to have for him, and
Well,
your payroll taxes you're matching and all
we
that.
offer him insurance, so you pay a guy 35 an hour, you might as well tack on another 15 to 20, depending on the benefit costs and everything. So it's really
Right.
around 50 or more. So then you got to make money off that. So you got to charge somebody 75, $100 an hour, and then you got to still stay competitive with companies that are bigger and have more employees and can lower the cost. So yeah, I mean, running a business today is not what it used to be.
Yeah, I mean, I had one call me what's today, Wednesday, so one day, Wednesday or Thursday last week. Hey, I need kingpins put in my truck. How much you charge? I said, what do you got? What axle? And and he told me he had a Kenworth with a Spicer axle. I said, you're looking at around $1,600, plus we'll need to align it afterwards, and that's if your drag link is good. While we got it knocked out, might as well replace it. And if your tie rod ends are shot, we might as well do that. They're already going to be out on the ground, tie rod assembly. And well, how much? And I said, just kingpins. If everything else is good labor wise, we're looking at $900 to $1,000. Yeah. Oh no, I have friends in Miami for $300. I said, well, I guess you better haul your ass to Miami. Oh, you can't do it for that. I was like, fuck no, I'm not doing it for that. I'm not doing it for that. If you want it for that, if I'm not going to make any money, I am damn sure not going to go bust my ass all day and get stuck. Your truck is going to be one of them that we're going to heat and beat on for 2 fucking hours aside or something to get them out. And we don't know that until we tear it down. And I said, no, I'm not doing that. Not doing it. Oh, but my guys in Miami, go to Miami. I don't care where you go, but I'm just telling you, I'm not doing it for that. I'm not for everybody. You may not be my customer. Well, I want you to do. I want it done right. And I was like, well, then you got to pay for that. Cheap and good. Are you can pick 2 of the 3, but you can't get all of it in one. You want it done right and everything with good parts, not some Chinese garbage that half of these places are using anymore. That you'll get a year and a half out of when we get done with it. If you'll keep it greased and all, you ought to be good for 1,000,000 miles or better. I'm not going to put the junk in because that comes back on me. I'm not going to, just because the part's $100 cheaper today, it costs you more later, and then you're going to want me to warranty the thing. And I'm not going to do it twice because of a junk ass part that I know is junk. We've been through that. It's tough. It's tough owning a shop. It's all business. It's tough anymore. Cost of properties and everything, and paying people and trying to get good people. Just like with trucking, it's hard to get good drivers. It's hard for them to get good dispatchers and office people and everything.
Yeah, all your mega carriers right now are getting rid of the dispatchers to hold the cost down. Like here in Dallas, U.S. Express, Swifty are getting rid of everybody. They're going to get up to about a year, and that's when they get their full benefits and everything and all that, and they're letting them go somewhere around like month 9, 10th, 11th, and they're only paying $55,000 a year, not including benefits. And I mean, they're like, this isn't enough to survive on, and I'm like, I mean, I'm not arguing with you on it, but people have to have a job. So, what's
People
the alternative? So, what's the alternative?
There's only so much money that
exactly
the business can pay, right? I mean, because if you're not profitable and there's no margin left, guess what? You're not in business next week. So
they're downsizing, and then they're like, well, the cost of stuff so high. And I'm like, I understand, but I mean, we're in an era now where either you need to make enough money or you gotta have several revenue streams. So you have to work several jobs. So that's just the way it was. I mean, it's been this way before, decades ago. So
you go back to the 80s or 70s and 80s, mortgage interest rates were 17, 18, 22%. Right now, the house was a lot cheaper. You could buy a nice 3-bedroom house somewhere for 70 grand or 60, 70 grand, where now that house is 300 grand.
Well, see, the economy's not that bad. It's just people just don't want to work. So I watch documentaries.
Yeah.
I talk to family members that were talk about the late 70s, early 80s. You couldn't buy a job. They said that first time ever, that's when people started negotiating car prices. Prior to that, and home prices, they never bickered. You know, it was like, this is the price on something. Now it's okay. What will you pay? What can we pay? I mean, you started doing contract for deed. You started selling houses where you carried the mortgage on it and pay me until you can get a mortgage. You rented. And then 2008, yeah, there were jobs. People didn't want to work. They were working. They cut the pay, but there were still jobs. Now they just don't want to work. So are we in a recession, or we just don't want to work? I mean, 2008 was probably the closest thing we had to recession from the Carter to into Reagan. But people were working. I was working. I was actually making more money than I made the year before. It's just you had to hustle. You know, and this is a young man's job, as is a lot of industries. You know, you have to hustle. People just don't want to. You know, they use this term, I'm not built for that. Well, whatever that means. I mean, were people built to work like they did in the 20s and 30s on railroads, you know, before all the automation came in and assisted them? You know, they just did it, you know.
Yeah.
So now they just don't want to work. We got 125 million people that just don't want to work. You know, they're not on public assistance. They're not on unemployment. They just don't want to hold a job. You know, living on somebody's couch, friends, family, handouts, whatever they do. So, I mean, so when people say, yeah, is crime going to go up? Well, it hasn't so far, and I don't think it will, because we have all these many people. So, you know, there's no civil war going to happen. Is anybody going to work? Probably not. It's so I just take advantage of it. They pay me more to work every day, so you know I have no issue working. So I just don't understand. I mean, it's just they're not going to get Medicaid, Medicare. They're not going to get Social Security, so they lost out. You know, and they're certainly not going to retire, because if you don't have it together by 25, I mean, with the way things are going, it's just not going to work. And there are some really good careers here. I mean, really good careers. It's just, you know, people have this attitude they're too good for it. But I mean, I know plumbers in my town in Dallas make like $40 an hour without benefits, and that's the same as what New York City's paying. It's just cost of living here is less. So I mean, $40 an hour, 40 hours a week, 1,600 a week. That's roughly 15 a week is 78. So we'll say 80,000 a year without overtime. I mean, that's all time high. That's not including union. So I mean, I don't understand. I don't understand why people don't want to do these blue collar manual jobs. I would much rather do that than be in an office every day, because you're going to make more money. The office just doesn't pay unless you're like high level, which chances are you won't be.
Right. Yeah. Well, you know, it's like the people that my wife works with. They get a lot of them that come in. They know nothing about what they're doing and all that stuff, and they bitch about, you know, starting out at 55, 60 grand a year, and they want to be at where she is, and they're always in there, always every week. They're, am I going to get a raise? Are you going to start doing more work? Are you going to be worth a raise?
Yeah,
you know, it's you know, what do you make? What do you make? It's like, who cares what the other person makes? You only need to worry about what you make. And if you want to be, if you want to make more, you got to be worth more. You know, you got to be worth more. Make yourself
I enjoy
more valuable.
when people don't come into work. That way, I get paid more. So, like the few people that do work, you know, they are like, well, nobody works. I love it, because I really enjoy it, because they pay me more to do it. So if somebody says I don't want to do this load, okay, they know I'll do it. I want an extra $100. I can get any driver manager I've ever driven for to authorize $100 without having to have an ops manager, their supervisor, approve it. Boom, give me 100. I'll do it. So I just take advantage of it. I just tell people, take advantage of the system, man. I mean, you know, they're willing to pay, take advantage of it. You know, and then when they find out, well, I got more money. Okay, well, you know, don't have an opinion because you didn't want to do it. So, you know, don't cry now. You know, that was your opportunity. You know, you made your move. That's cool. So, you know, I'll purposely, if they say I don't want to work today, please take off. Please take off. I'll gladly take your money and then some. But yeah, I mean, you got to look at the positive thing on everything. So yeah, there's a lot of people that don't work, but you know, there's a lot of people that will and will take advantage of it. So, it's one of those things. So I just look at it like that. It's just, is it going to get worse? Oh, yeah. I mean, things can always get worse. But, there are going to be some people that want to go in. Automation is going to help out and do that. So I can tell you the trucks I drive, they're better than ever now. I mean, they're dummy proof. I mean, they'll shut down, tell you when the oil is low, the coolant, everything. I mean, we need that. I've talked to dudes who said
the newer trucks.
I've talked to dudes. To drive. When I started driving, I met a dude in Ocala, Florida, in safety, and he told me that he likes all this stuff on the truck because he said he was driving a truck one time, ex-driver, had a pinhole leak in the oil, and he said by the time he drove, his turbo was blown that evening. No warning, no nothing. And he said, "How would you catch that?" And I'm like, I said, "I don't really know." I said, just tell me. And he goes, "You can't." He said, "A pinhole size leak, you would have to stop and check that engine and hood." And he said, "Now there's a sensor." I said, "Okay, cool." I was cool with it.
Yeah, the newer trucks, the guys that want the old school trucks, now they're nice. Some of them, that all decked out and paint jobs on them and stuff like that. But I don't want to drive that stuff anymore. I drove that shit for many, many years. I'd much rather hop in one of these new Freightliners or a Volvo or something and go down the road with the automated transmission and stuff. I listen to their stories and I get it. And I mean, these automatics are easier now than ever. Yeah. I mean, about the only time you'll need a manual is if you get stuck somewhere. You can rock it. You can rock it a little better. But why'd you get stuck? And nowadays, they'll just call you a tow truck. So, I mean, everything's changed. Everything's changed. And I understand people don't like change. I get it. But from my perspective, it's the easiest job ever. I mean, you only got to do a handful of things every day. I have sensors on the truck. I have a camera. So if somebody does hit me, I'm always in the right. I'm on an E-log. You can't dispute it. You can't dispute these cameras. So from a driver perspective, I'm in the clear on everything. And like, Mr. Matt just said, he's going to get cameras. I highly advise you have a camera. I mean, why you would drive even a vehicle of any kind, even a motorcycle without a camera in today's world? I don't know. Yeah, because I was going to tell him, I had on my truck a 4 camera system. Some of them only had 3 cameras hooked up, but because they didn't all pull my trailers, and the other one's the 4th camera I had, the pigtail with the camera up in the nose of the trailer looking at the inside. Because I did some show stuff and specialized stuff and all that, and I could see the guys loading and all that type of stuff. And if somebody was loading with a forklift,
well, a lot of companies right now have a green laser that shoots in the back of a trailer, and it goes to their dispatch, and they can tell when their trailers are empty. So when you call and say, "Okay, I'm dropping and hooking here," what trailers are available, and then they'll be like, "This one," and they'll give you the trailer number, and they'll say, "Look, I'm looking in it." So, and that's another thing. I mean, I blame drivers, whether they're owner ops, LPs, OO, wannabes, a company. Let them know when you're going to be there. Ask if their trailers are empty, and keep moving. You got to think business all the time. So if you want to be a billionaire, you got to think like a billionaire. What would a billionaire do? What would a successful trucker do? Okay, he wouldn't just drag ass. He would, okay, is this ready? Okay, is my next load ready? This, that, the other. So I'm like, I understand why these guys have an issue. I listen to them every day, and I'm just like, man, dude, you just don't get it. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what field they're in. They're just not gonna succeed, So, when they don't want to learn. Just go up to the people that are movers and shakers, ask them how they do it. Hey, teach me. Boom. That's all you got to do. I mean, life is super
simple. And not all of us do everything the same way, but basic business principles are the same. Mm-hmm. And we may tweak some things here and there. Everybody does something a little different. And just like guys that I had in the 2000s and all that, early 2000s that drove for me, that went off and bought their own trucks and stuff. They may have tweaked a little bit of what I did, or maybe they doing this or doing that, but you can ask them their numbers and they know them and everything. And they learned all that stuff that, hey, this is what I got to do to be successful. And, be able to stay in business when there's a downtime.
Every successful
or
businessman
something
follows
happens.
a certain system, and they all are about the same. Anybody that says they did financing different, they're lying. It's tricky financing. They're doing something illegal. All the mega carriers operate the same way. Now, the Qualcomm, their e-logs may be different, but their main business system's same. So
Yeah.
if other people aren't operating that way, then I question how they're doing it. I'll be like, I mean, you obviously are in heavy debt. You obviously have co-signers. I mean, and then they'll get all upset, don't want to tell you, and I'm like, you don't need to tell me. I can figure it out on my, but yeah, I mean, it's like Apple and Microsoft pretty much operate the same way. If you're in that industry, there's only one way to do business the correct way, and not go in debt. And they just don't, everybody's like, well, I'll do it this way or that way. No, dude, it doesn't work that way. And the house of cards will eventually fall. I mean, Bernie Madoff, after like 40 years, he fell. So, I mean, the party's over for a lot of people. It just, some people may just extend it a little further than others. So I just look at it like that. So, super simple. Just get along with everybody. Just be polite, cordial. Everything's cool. Rock and roll on that. But yeah, just a lot of these cats, man. I mean, the main problem is they just don't want to work. I don't want to go here. I don't want to go there. You can't force me, this, that, the other. Well, when you limit where you go, you limit what you can do. I mean, Atlanta to me is no different than Dallas, Cincinnati, Chicago. It's a city. You got to deliver to it.
Yeah.
The problem
Don't matter to me where I was going if I was making money.
They don't want to learn the laws. Like New York City. If you actually look in their city statute laws, you cannot haul a 53 in that city. So that would get you out. Yeah. So it's all day cab. So it's all based on length. Well, they don't get that. Instead of researching it, and that's the thing that Garmin. Well, TomTom was the original in '98. That came in. Everybody went to that from Rand McNally. So that was the start of downfall of trucking. So driver wise, well, I'll just use my TomTom. I mean, I pass people all the time that got 3-4 devices in their windshield, plus your e-log does, plus your phone. So you added a couple more in there. I'm like, I used Rand McNally in my first 7 years driving. So I know the highways, I know all the stops. Bam. I would just Google, what do you do when you're in New York City? I actually had a guy one night tell me, when you get in these major cities, it's called a fire department. The fire department will tell you what streets you can go down because you know why? Their vehicles are about as long as ours and about as tall as ours. I was like, wow, that's a great idea. I never thought of that. I use that to this day. Yeah, first time I called them, I was in Houston, and they said, yeah, you could go down the street. I said, well, the bridge. He said, don't worry, sir, you'll make it. So I was like, cool. And he said, if you ever get stuck, call the fire department. They're the only ones that can get you out. I'm like, wow, that's another great idea. So I don't understand why these guys get all upset, freeze up and stuff. And then I started calling the customers. This is your city, your town. You know how to get here. I just present it like that. Okay, we'll take this street, go here, go there. I'm like, okay. Yeah, it's just a lot of people just don't think to use stuff and like that, and then they'll tell you these stories of how they were Rambo and they did this and they invented that, and I'm like, and you can't drive a truck from here to there without some major ordeal making the internet. Like Twisted Trucker, right? I was in a live like last week, and the guy that founded it actually stopped in, and now we're buddies. And I'm like, how did you get the idea for that? He started talking. I brought up Twisted Trucker, and he goes, I found it. I said, dude, you're from Effingham, Illinois? He said, yeah. I said, man, I can do concerts there all the time. And he's just like, yeah, man. And they do the jamborees. They sell the merch, this, that, and the other. So, yeah, so we had like 2-hour chat on that dude's live about it. And he was just like, yeah, I just don't get it, man. These drivers. And I just thought posting that would change the industry. And I'm like, no, actually, I think it's kind of made it worse. It's kind of made, people, people just do, whatever they do.
I'm actually just north of Effingham.
No, are you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I love that. I-57. Yeah, I used to hit the Lone Star there, and he told me the story as to why they're not there anymore, and I'm like, man, that place was awesome. All you had to do was walk across the bridge from the TA or get a ride there.
Oh shit, it's after 6. All right, I'm gonna let y'all go for a little bit. I gotta run and grab my grandson.
Yeah, and my kid's gonna be home here in a little bit. I'm gonna have to top off.
Yeah, enjoy
All right,
chatting,
guys.
everybody. So let's do this again tomorrow or soon. And everybody have a good night. And try to eat some steak tonight.
Yeah.
You too.
Oh yeah, that's actually what I'm doing tonight. Getting him and coming back, throwing some ribeyes on the grill.
Oh, that sounds delicious. And paradise.
Yeah. All right. Talk at y'all later.
Yeah, everybody have a good night.